Can we start now? Hey guys, my name is Victoria, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my October TBR. You will see that my TBR pile is mostly made out of a lot of horror books, or rather thrillers, a lot of classics actually. By the way, I have chosen a couple of books, but I doubt that I'm gonna get through everything because I'm already stressed with uni and it did not even start. And I think we're gonna start right away before this video gets too long, or before this intro gets too long. I want to start with a book that's coming out in October that has nothing to do with Halloween really, or nothing to do with horror, because it's Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World by Benjamin Elias Sands. I always say it wrong, I'm so sorry, correct me if you know how he's actually pronounced. I do not have that book yet, but I will get it the second it's on sale. I'm so excited for this book because I read Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, which is the prequel, in January, and it was such an easy and lovely and charming and just overall comforting read. It's about two boys, Ari and Dante, who meet each other in one summer and then spend an entire year together, and a beautiful friendship blossoms, and maybe there's even more. I did not like the ending though because I thought it was too abrupt. I just wanted more, and after almost 10 years, I think after 9 years now, the author is releasing the sequel. I'm so excited, although I'm quite happy that I didn't have to wait for it this long. So that book is coming out, and because I don't want to spoil anything from the first book, I'm not going to give you the summary of it. My next read on my list is based on that book because it's the first part. I want to reread it just to have everything in place, to have everything in my head that I might have missed while reading it for the first time, so I want to read that again before starting the second one. Okay, we're getting into more mystery stuff because the next one is Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. It came out in July, I think. I totally missed it, but I might have bought myself a really pretty edition, and it's supposed to be shipped in October, so I hope that it arrives on time. I read The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is also by T.J. Klune, in May, and I absolutely loved it. It was one of my highlights that month, and I can't wait to read another book by him. This one sounds really interesting. I'm gonna give you the summary because I could never do it as well. When the Reaper comes to collect Wallace Price, is that the right way to pronounce that name? From his own funeral, Wallace suspects, what a tongue twister, he really might be dead. Instead of leading him directly to the afterlife, the Reaper takes him to a small village. On the outskirts of the path through the woods, tucked between mountains, is a particular tea shop run by a man named Hugo. Hugo is the tea shop's owner to locals and the ferryman to souls who need to cross over. But Wallace isn't ready to abandon the life he barely lived. With Hugo's help, he finally starts to learn about all the things he missed in life. When the manager, a curious and powerful being, arrives at the tea shop and gives Wallace 1 week to cross over, Wallace sets about living a lifetime in 7 days. That sounds so cool. I read the summary the first time when I bought the book, which was, I think, a month ago, and it sounded so good. It sounds so good, and I can't wait to read it because I loved House in the Cerulean Sea so much. And if it's anything like that, though the premise is very different, I can't wait to read it. So yeah. Well, we already talked a bit about death while discussing this book. Now, let's get into the creepy stuff, because I have a couple of books on my list that I waited for to read in this month. The first one is, I think, a very contemporary novel. I have no idea when it came out. It's Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I'm probably saying this wrong, but it's about Galaxy. Her nickname is Alex, and she's the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman's class. A dropout and the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved crime, Alex was hoping for a fresh start. So it's all about university. That's why I waited for October to read it, because I'm starting uni. It's about someone who is apparently murdered and about Yale's secret societies. So I'm excited to read this. There's mixed reviews out there. Some people loved it and some people actually really hated it. I'm excited what I'll say. Yay! Before we turn to the classics, because I have 4 classics, I want to mention this book, which has been on my TBR for quite some time, or ever since I started watching Noah Gallagher, which was last year. It's Misery by Stephen King. I want to introduce myself to Stephen King, and I think Misery is a good place to start. At least that's what Noelle said. If you are a Stephen King expert, then please Prove me wrong. I don't have a copy yet. I will have one though, because I plan on getting one. But let me give you the summary. Paul Sheldon. He's a best-selling novelist who has finally met his biggest fan. Her name is Annie Wilkes. Am I saying this right? And she's more than a rabid reader. She is Paul's nurse, tending his shattered body after an automobile accident. But she's also his captor, keeping him prisoner in an isolated house. I heard the summary of the author being held captive by this Annie Wilkes. Sorry, I'm saying this wrong. And she's forcing him to write a new book, and apparently it's creepy. And you know, Stephen King. I want to start with Misery. I'm really excited to read this because, you know, it's about an author and reading. It's great, and a bit of horror. Perfect for Halloween. Okay, I think this is it. Let's start with the classics, because I've chosen 4 classics that I think will fit perfectly into this month. I chose The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I bought this at the end of October last year, and I didn't get to read it last year in October, so I thought I could read it now, but why not wait a whole year and read it then? I have waited, and I'm excited to read them. I watched the show last year that is on Netflix. I don't know how much is accurate because the summary sounds nothing like the show, because alone with the world, Eleanor is delighted to take up Dr. Montague's invitation to spend a summer in the mysterious Hill House. Joining them are Theodora, an artistic sensitive, and Luke, heir to the house. But what begins as a light-hearted experiment is swiftly proven to be a trip into their darkest nightmares in an investigation that one of their number may not survive. It sounds almost nothing like the show, because in the show there's a family moving into this hill house, and they are basically haunted, and a lot of things happen. The show is amazing. If you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of that, definitely watch the show if you haven't yet. It's quite cool. The way that it's made is insane. I watched it, and I'm not the biggest horror fan. I would love to be, because I think it's such a fun franchise and such a fun genre, but I get scared so much at night. And yeah, I can only watch it with my sisters. So yeah, it's a classic. I really want to read it. I have waited long enough. Let's get to the second book. I think you can guess what it is if you know Shirley Jackson, but it's We Always Have Lived in the Castle. This one is about living in the Blackwood family home with only her sister Constance and her uncle Julian for company. Mary Cat just wants to preserve their delicate way of life. But ever since Constance was acquitted of murdering the rest of the family, the world isn't leaving the Blackwoods alone. And when cousin Charles arrives, armed with overtures of friendship and a desperate need to get into the safe, Mary Cat must do everything in her power to protect the remaining family. In her final greatest novel, Shirley Jackson draws us into a dark, unsettling world of family rivalries, suspense, and exquisite black comedy. We'll see when I think about it. I'm excited to finally read these, and I think October is the perfect time for it. I have 2 more books on my TBR, and this one is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. A classic, almost everyone has read it. I'm so excited to read it, even though I know the basis of the story. I've also had this for over a year now. A twisted upside-down creation myth, Mary Shelley's chilling gothic tale lays bare the dark side of science and the horror within us all. It tells the story of Victor Frankenstein, who plunders graveyards to create a new being from the bodies of the dead, but whose botched creature causes nothing but murder and destruction. Written after a nightmare when its author was only 18. Cool. Frankenstein gave birth to the modern science fiction novel. Didn't know that it was based on a nightmare. That's cool. I mean, kind of sad, but anyway. I think the biggest misconception about this book, or in general about Frankenstein, is that people think the monster is Frankenstein, but it's actually not. The monster is just the monster. I do know that Frankenstein is Dr. Frankenstein. I'm excited to read this. The last book on my TBR is a reread. Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. I read this in April. Was completely enchanted by it. I did not know how to deal. Actually, my mom got me my own copy because I got to read the copy that my sister had. Now I have my own, which I'm really excited about, and it has become my favorite book, and I think I need to read my favorite book more times. And because it's also more like thrilling, horror, bizarre story. Dorian Gray is having his picture painted by Basil Hallward, who is charmed by his looks. But when Sir Henry Wotton visits and seduces Dorian into the worship of youthful beauty with an intoxicating speech. Dorian makes a wish he will live to regret. That all the marks of age will now be reflected in the portrait rather than on Dorian's own face. The stage is now set for a masterful tale about appearance, reality, art, life, truth, fiction, and the burden of conscience. I love it. I'm so excited to read this again. This was it. This was my TBR. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up and comment down below what you would like to see next. Also, let me know what you want to read this October. I am so excited for this month. I can't wait to give you all the wrap up at the end of this month and see what I got to read, because I think I rarely had such a specific TBR. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click the little bell next to the subscription button to never miss an upload. As always, I upload every single Thursday and Sunday, and if I can't make it or if anything changes, I will update you guys on my Instagram. All linked down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hopefully see you in my next video. Bye! And the last